Wildfires devastating the West Coast and other parts of the country, from California to New Mexico and Alaska and Minnesota. More than 1,800 square miles of land have been torched thanks to drought. Let's bring in NBC News correspondent Jake Ward, who is in Marquisville, California. I mean, Jake, you're south of Lake Tahoe there. The Tamarack fire is burning through communities and campgrounds. I hope you're safe with that air quality, because I still see smoke behind you.
Yeah, Lindsay, it is definitely a bleak scene, a moonscape of destruction here in Northern California. You know, and this isn't even the biggest fire, right? There are fires all over it. The last count, there are 79 major fires across the West Coast. In this case, we're looking out across this valley down to a body of water that's been worked all day by helicopters as they try to get a handle on this. This was a fire of just a few hundred acres on Friday, and in a single day, it jumped from that to 6,000. Now it's up over 20,000 acres. And while a lot of this vegetation will come back, there are all the signatures of the destruction you see so often in these fires, including widowmakers like this, trees that have burned from the inside and then collapsed without warning. We've been hearing them fall around us from time to time. And unfortunately, as you can probably see on my jacket here, the wind is kicking up. And that is why, at this point, about 4 million people across the western United States are under a red flag warning because these fires are far from over, Lindsay.
Yeah, far from over. You still have a tree smoldering behind your live shot there, Jake. I mean, this fire started 2 weeks ago, and there are still active flames. Do we know how it started?
The federal officials who have jurisdiction over this say that it was, in fact, a lightning strike, you know, the kind of thing anywhere. This is a season marked by what's called dry lightning, very small amounts of rainfall, but a lot of lightning. It touches down and sets off this, you know, record-breaking dry fuel at a time when there is tremendous drought here, record temperatures, and now these big winds. And so we're looking at a naturally caused thing, something that's part of the normal life cycle of California's landscape, but it's been amplified by climate change in this case, Lindsay.
I mean, Jake, we know it has been a fast start to the wildfire season. We're only mid-July, talking about how bleak things are. Talk to us about some of the other fires burning. You know, I know that I think the largest one is in Oregon right now. Are firefighters getting a handle on these massive wildfires?
You know, it is, you know, looking across the western United States, right? You mentioned, yes, the Oregon fire, the Bootleg fire, which is the first mega fire we have of the season. That's a fire that's over 100,000 acres. You know, we are looking at, scientists tell us, a season like no other. We're going to see probably this kind of fire going on and on. We've spoken to scientists who say that the fuel conditions, you know, the things that make places like this burn, are right now what they should be like in September. That's how dry this environment is. And unfortunately, the scientists also tell us that even though, you know, they're expecting possible rain, a raising of humidity in the air, all of that should, in theory, tamp this down, they see no break in sight for this because of the incredibly dry fuels. You know, we really look across this place, and there's something philosophical we have to grapple with. On the one hand, you know, trees like this, they actually want to burn. This kind of burning allows a tree to come back. As long as these needles are still there at the top, the tree can respirate. And in fact, this kind of landscape requires a certain amount of fire to keep it healthy. The problem is you also have people like someone I spoke to yesterday who was trying to hike the Pacific Crest Trail, got cut off from her route, and is now stranded on foot hundreds of miles from where she parked her car, right? We're talking about human habitation bumping up against the natural fire cycle. And the question is, how are we supposed to balance these two things? Something that happens naturally, in this case, a lightning strike setting off the natural cycle. I mean, Lindsay, some trees can't even reproduce unless they catch fire. So this is natural, and yet we can't live in its path. How will we grapple with that? That's the big question of the summer, Lindsay.
Yeah, and the Forest Service, of course, they try and get a step ahead of that with their prescribed burns, but clearly with this dry lightning, it's so uncontrollable. All right, Jake Ward, thank you. You and your crew stay safe.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.